I got to admit, I had pretty much figured this wasn't ever really going to happen, and it still might not. I mean, you get these teases and rumors and whatnot and all that, but it stands to reason that it would be a no-brainer to do a new Superman film with Henry Cavill. Nobody really holds him responsible for any of even people that are not all that warm to his appearances, whether it was Man of Steel or Batman versus Superman in Justice League. Well, we'll just not even talk about that one. There is another version, if they would just release that. Or, of course, that whole story. Zack Snyder wants to do some more footage to it. He wants to get it back to the original proposition that he brought forth, and they said that was too dark or what have you. So I'm thinking that was the stumbling block all along. And who knows, there might have been already a director's cut type deal, Blu-ray of Justice League. But anyway, so Henry Cavill, this is in Cosmic Book News. Apparently the rumor went through Heroic Hollywood, and that there was this Supergirl film that it talks about, and that's been around a while, that it would take place in the 70s, and she would fight Brainiac. And I think Superman was supposed to have been involved in it and all that, but it would take place, in the 70s. And I remember hearing there were some rumors that they were toying around with CGI and whatnot to create a Superman based on Christopher Reeve. So to basically resurrect Christopher Reeve in CGI form. And as the technology goes, that becomes more and more possible to do something along those lines. Is it Rogue One? Well, the Princess Leia didn't look that great, but the Peter Cushing, Moff Tarkin, looked really good, but still not quite there. Still looked like, video game thing. But as it goes, that could be possible. I really don't want to see it, though. Supergirl in the 70s sort of already happened with the Helen Slater Supergirl. I mean, it was early 80s, but, close enough. And that was connected to the Christopher Reeve Superman. You don't see him in it. You see some images that clearly is based on his Superman, and it's referenced and whatnot. It's a silly movie. It's not that great. That was that. So, to go and do that, I'm not sure why. The only other possibility was that the Man of Steel does show this empty pod inside the Kryptonian ship that he discovers. And that was supposed to be this alternate version of Kara Zor-El. In this aspect, she's still a cousin to Kal-El, but a distant ancestor cousin. Because there was a prequel comic book, a part of this. I forget, was it a serial thing you had to send in for it? I can't remember, but I've seen snippets of it. And basically, she was a part of that ship. And there was a battle on it. One of the Kryptonians went rogue and all this, and it ended up killing off the other ones. And she's the only one who survives. And she gets up, it crashes on Earth, and she walks out of the ship, and it's left nebulous and unknown as to what happened. I think the idea was that the Kryptonian genes, that she would meet some Earth man, and they would have children, and then this would spread out the DNA of Kryptonians throughout humans, to where this would develop the gods of Olympus, and then the Amazonians and all that stuff, and even the Atlanteans, I suppose. And that would be sort of a precursor to all of that. And then it comes full circle with the arrival of Superman. And that's basically the story, unless she's frozen in something and awakens at that point, and Superman realizes, oh, yeah, she's my distant cousin and all that. But I mean, it would be a totally different relationship. Whereas the odd thing about it, that despite the fact that Kara was much older than Kal-El, as he was an infant and she was a teenage girl, due to the time displacement in the arrival on Earth, she ended up having to be kind of like the kid sister to the older, more mature Superman, who kind of had to guide her and teach her and all this type of stuff. And that was basically the story between the two of them. So this would be a very weird thing. And you would almost kind of scratch, you could keep it to where there were Kryptonians on Earth before, and this explains superpowered people on Earth and that sort of thing. But you would have to go back into the original concept of his cousin Supergirl and being his protege and all that sort of thing. And that's what they could have. But I don't know. It just because it's a completely new story if it's this woman from ancient times and all that sort of thing. But anyway, boy, I got off the tangent here. But anyway, the rumor is that the Supergirl, whatever it was supposed to be, 70s Supergirl movie has pretty much been scrapped, and they're back on we want Superman. One of the ideas is because he remains popular among fans of Superman, of wanting him to portray the role. He certainly has the look, and we've seen him briefly, if anything, of the Justice League film is that, yes, he can play a Superman that's more in tune with the traditional Superman than the rather indecisive and brooding dark Superman, which I didn't really find all that dark, but, I understood what Zack Snyder was trying to do, and I understand he would get there, and that was the type, but, it all blew up in this way. So, but yes, Cavill is more than capable of playing that role, and people would like to see it. Most notably, this guy, Dwayne Johnson, wants to see him in the role again. And perhaps, just perhaps, I don't know that this is part of the rumor. I watched the video from Heroic Hollywood detailing what they know. I didn't hear this part of it, so this might be McCloyne suspecting it. But Dwayne Johnson keeps tossing it, and he's buddies with Cavill. They know because Dwayne Johnson's ex-wife is Cavill's and his manager, agent, the representative and whatnot. Even though they're not married anymore, apparently they still have an amicable relationship and a business one. And but our other client is Henry Cavill, and they know each other and all this stuff. And he keeps teasing and talking about his character, Black Adam, battling Superman more than he would. I don't think he's even mentioned him battling Shazam, the real Captain Marvel. Yeah. And even though that would be more of the story, but certainly Superman could fit into that. He was supposed to appear in a cameo with the Shazam film, and it's unfortunate it didn't happen, but I guess negotiations fell through, and that's he said, look, I want a Superman film, not just a bunch of cameos of me in these other DC films, which may have happened by now had it gone forward. I don't know. But he went off to do Witcher, and that turned out to be quite a success. I never did a review of it. I should have, but yeah, I do recommend it. It's a good series. I have no interest in the game or anything, but I watched the series, and well, yeah, it was really good. So, but yeah, Cavill has made it known that he says, look, I can work on 2 projects a year. And he's lately kind of kept his schedule open. Witcher is the main thing. Of course, it's on pause now due to the crisis. But that might be a means of scheduling that he will maintain to keep it open for getting work started on a Superman film per se, and perhaps him appearing in the Black Adam film. Not the one coming out. I don't think so. That one was also supposed to get rolling this year, but of course, due to the crisis, that's not happening. But once it's able to get back going, that'll happen. And that's more of a Black Adam versus the Justice Society, apparently, which is an interesting thing. And that'll be introduced through that. But I think for a sequel, he's wanting more of a battle between Black Adam and Superman. And in modern times, the Black Adam film takes place through ancient times and then World War II, I believe. I don't even know if it even gets to modern time. Maybe it does. But I think it would come along, maybe a teaser where Sivana encounters him and stuff, and then he would cross over with the Shazam film. But at some point, if it's in modern times and you're in a world where Superman exists, it stands to reason that, yeah, Superman would fly into that. And they've already established that he's already buddies with Shazam. So you just didn't see his head, but you know. So there you go. And of course, Henry Cavill says he wants to do the role. There's all these different avenues he wants to explore. And he's demonstrated he can do 2 projects a year. He was doing Witcher, and he played Sherlock Holmes in the Enola Holmes film that's forthcoming that stars the girl from Stranger Things. She'll be in that. And so theoretically, yeah, he could do his Witcher series and film scenes for Superman within the same year. So maybe Dwayne stepped in here and says, look, I want him as Superman. And if I don't get it, both of us are going to bolt and take roles from Marvel. There were some rumors that Dwayne Johnson was up for the role for Namor, which he certainly could pull off. And if you think about it, Black Adam and Namor, they look a lot alike. They're basically buffed up Spocks. So he could have done that. And Cavill was rumored for the U.S. agent and stuff like that, which is now going to be in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, played by, what's his name? Well, Kurt Russell's son, anyway. I think that's how that's going to go. But anyway, that might have been like a threat. And he said, all right, we'll figure something out. And so he can be back as Superman. As for what does this mean for the overall DCEU, perhaps with the Flashpoint film supposedly coming, that can reboot matters, but it wouldn't necessarily mean that Henry Cavill will get replaced. Sounds like he wouldn't. The only other name that was mentioned was, what's his name? David Cornsweet, I think it is, who resembles Cavill a lot. He's kind of the younger version. So if they ever need to do a movie and he's a younger brother, there's the guy. But beyond that, didn't really hear much else about it. And if this stands to reason, it makes more sense that they would keep going with it and get the ball rolling. I mean, it's unfortunate in the current time with the crisis and everything, but that they should have been already working on a new Superman film at this point. This goes with what they could find replacements for Batman. I'm not sure. The idea is that Flashpoint could introduce the Matt Reeves Batman into it, but Matt Reeves just doesn't sound like the type of guy. With his comments about his Batman movie and trilogy, I assume, is that he doesn't want to be a part of a shared universe or anything like that. So the case may be you will have to have 2 Batman. And I'm fine with that. I wanted to see more of the Ben Affleck Batman. I don't think no matter what we'll get that, unless of course he would agree to do a few scenes for Zack and his Snyder Cut deal. But beyond that, I don't think we'll see any more of him as that. So they'd have to cast someone else, but someone else to play that character, I think would be perfectly fine with me. And that would go better than, doing the weird time warp thing. I mean, it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but well, yeah, it would, because Affleck's Batman is supposed to be so much older than Superman. So yeah, I don't know, but still, I'm thinking more along the lines of that. I remember Armie Hammer's name got tossed around, and I think he would be a better choice for that version of Batman. The DCEU Batman, a Batman who lives in the world of superheroes and Superman and Wonder Woman and all that type of stuff. So they still need to explain why Wonder Woman didn't help out during the Kryptonian invasion, Maybe we'll get the answer in the next movie. I don't know. But anyway, hopefully this is the case. So check out the article at Cosmic Book News that briefly tells the tale, all of it, including the rumors about J.J. Abrams wanting to do a Superman movie and all that. And there's a link to the Heroic Hollywood YouTube video. So there you go. All right, thanks for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe? And check out that link description below. That'll take you to my many stores that have plenty of goodies for you. Yes, that's right, you. Most notably, my comic book Night Night over at indieplanet.com. Yes, that's right. And you can also catch my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, over at radiomisfits.com. Yeah, and you can also watch these videos on BitChute.